I find myself kind of in two really interesting things. When COVID started, I partnered up with Hazelton up in Minnesota, and we started doing webinars. We started going virtual, talking about what's going to come after this pandemic. We had an epidemic before the pandemic, and now people are going to be leaving this pandemic with behaviors and addictions they didn't have going in. So we really need to really double our efforts to prepare for what's coming. And the more I heard myself talking about that, I'm like, okay, I've been talking about this for 25 years. I got to do something about it. And so here I am now working for a treatment place in Rockford called Rosecrans, getting people actually into treatment and help. And in the process, I found recovery myself. Over the years when I was working, when I was in schools talking about, Chris's story, I also knew, I should probably watch, my drinking was gotten out of hand too. So I stopped drinking. And I would get 5 years at a time. And think I could do this on my own because I had all these distractions, and I just thought it was just about not drinking. And it was like 4 or 5 years into it, something would always kind of enter my, like, it's St. Patrick's Day. I can have one Guinness. I've been sober for 5 years. Well, I got this. And, before, wasn't long before I was back on varsity. And I couldn't understand that. And I remember going into a couple of recovery meetings at that time, just like it was in my family. I could always point to somebody else and say, well, that person drinks more than me, so I guess I'm okay. I got ways to go. Until somebody, that I trusted and accepted me brought me into recovery, and I had to look back. So now it's just it's every part of my life, everywhere I go, and I need to kind of share that. But what I love most is coming into communities like this. So you want, as I said, I talk about connection all the time. I talk about our need to come together and collaborate, and there's just nothing like events like this that really demonstrate just how strong that belief and that need for community support and collaboration is. And I love the communities like this and counties like this that really get it. I spend a lot of time in Waukesha County because I see people. You care. Last year I was asked to come up to this event and I couldn't. But one of the first things that went to my head last year was, what the heck's Lannon? Like I never heard. My parents taught me this, and all my brothers, this deep love for Wisconsin, and I think I know Wisconsin. And I'm like, and I look at a map, it's like, oh, okay, I know where Wisconsin is. I know where Lannon. And so driving here from Madison this morning, I'm driving through here, I'm like, oh wow, this is beautiful. I mean, look, you got a forest. Oh, it's a background. You're right. But it was beautiful, and I love coming into these communities. Like I see Wisconsin through the eyes of my dad again, and all of us. You were always in the car going to some fish fry and God knows where, some church function, Oh, they have roast beef up at St. Luke's, so 45 minutes in the car, no radio. Yeah. It was fun though. That's what Dad said. Anyway, I really appreciate being here. As I said, I'll leave one last thing, and this is kind of a new thing for me that I've been telling groups in Wisconsin, and that is, it's been very comforting to my family to the way that Wisconsin has embraced Chris and his memory, and it's been because it was a tough loss. But and people say every day somebody comes up to me, it's like, oh, your brother, blah 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 blah. That you don't know what that means to me. It keeps him alive. It's wonderful. And I love that it's humor. Like 25 years later, we're still talking about it, and that's been wonderful. But now we're at this point now where we're kind of past the tipping point of a crisis, and I'm being a little, kind of changed my view, and that is, my thought is, you cannot love Chris Farley and still perpetuate the stigma and judgment and attitudes about the disease that killed him. You can't have it both ways. We need to break through these beliefs that we've had harbored for years, because people are dying and people need help, and we can't just use Chris's memory of his humor and forget how he died. We got to remember that we don't have him anymore, and we have work to do. So there's things that we can do. This is great. One of the things I also talk about.